So now I would like to invite our Honorable MP from Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam and Senior Advocate Mr. Elango to address the event.
Good evening. I thank Dravidian Professional Forum for arranging these kind of discussions, which is very much the need of the hour. And I thank Honorable Justice Hariparanthaman and Mr. Prince Gajendra Babu for their views. And they have said their views with usual force, what they used to say. In my view, the topic is governor as despot, a threat to democratic federalism. Whether the very post of governor is a threat to federalism, or only if the governor acting as a despot is a threat to federalism is a question. Justice Hariparanthaman's view is that the very post of governor is the threat to democratic federalism. We will see that. But then, what is happening for the present? By one particular governor, by sitting over the bills which are passed by the government, the legislature, which is elected by the people of Tamil Nadu, or sending the recommendation of the Council of Ministers in as far as the release of 7 convicts to the president, where he is not expected to send it to the president. These are all the instances where we are afraid what will happen in the future. So what's happening in the present should not aggravate in the future and thereby completely destroy the federalism. That word federalism, even Justice Hariparanthaman said, some quarters they are saying it is quasi-federalism. But I moved a writ petition wherein which we have challenged the 42nd constitutional amendment, wherein which the education subject was transferred from the state list to concurrent list. The question posed by the bench was that, no, you are saying it is against federalism. We are only quasi-federalism. I said, in S.R. Bommai's case, the constitutional bench has said that federalism is the basic structure of the constitution. So we don't have need not have any discussion whether ours is a quasi-federal or federal. The constitution bench in S.R. Bommai's case say it is federal structure. Taking a clue from that, now let us see what has happened in the past. Past means during the debates on the constitution. Before that, I want to request the participants to consider Article 159, the oath which is to be taken by the governor. The oath which is to be taken by the governor is like this: I so and so do swear in the name of the God or solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of governor. I will faithfully execute the office of the governor or discharge the functions of the governor of the so-and-so state and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the constitution and the law. That's one part, that you have to defend the constitution, you have to protect the constitution, and you have to preserve the constitution. Number one. And the second part is more important, that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of so-and-so state. So the oath he has taken is that he will serve to the best of his ability to preserve the well-being of the people of Tamil Nadu, as far as the governor of Tamil Nadu is concerned. What is well-being of the people of Tamil Nadu is not to be decided by the governor, is to be decided by the people. So let us take NEET bill. The people of Tamil Nadu elects a government, and the representative of the people of Tamil Nadu have said that we don't want NEET, we want an exemption from the NEET. That bill is the well-being of the people of Tamil Nadu. He cannot sit over it. So by doing this, sitting over the bills or when he is not supposed to send a recommendation of the Council of Ministers to the President. In spite of it, if he is sending the recommendation to the President, he is not preserving the Constitution or he is not protecting the Constitution. So whatever these happenings are all violation of the oaths taken by the individual governments. Why these wordings were given by the constitution makers is that this is the expectation of the makers of the Constitution, that the governor should think what is the well-being of the people of Tamil Nadu or people of that state. He is now appointed by the President and he serves with the pleasure of the President of India. The Constitution Assembly was discussing the form of appointment of the governor. There were three choices: that an election to be made has to be conducted and he is to be elected as like a member of Legislative Assembly. So that there will be two elections. One is for the governor and another is for the Legislative Assembly, which is to be presided over by the Chief Minister and all. Most of them said it is very expensive. So the idea of election was, direct election was opposed. Idea of indirect election was also considered. And idea of a list of names to be suggested to the President and out of which he has to choose one was also considered. But what we have is in this form. That discussion is very important, which has happened somewhere between 30th of May 1949 and 16th of October 1949. The discussion regarding the governor happened. If time permits, I will read only few observations of the members of the Constituent Assembly. It is by Professor K.T. Shaw. He says this: I suggest that under the new system that we are inaugurating, in the democratic regime that we are establishing under this constitution, it is but right and proper that the executive head of the state shall use his powers in accordance with the law and constitution, that is to say, on the advice of his ministers, where such powers or actions in accordance with those powers are likely to involve any item of ministerial responsibility. It is not merely a verbal change I have suggested. It is an important change in principle, and I hope it will commend itself with the House. The change suggested by him was this: that the executive power, Article 154, the executive power of the state shall be vested in the governor and shall be exercised by him either directly or through the officers subordinate to him. Then, which says, the word may was suggested to be changed to shall, and it was adopted as shall. So the important change is that the governor is expected to act on the aid and advice of the ministers. That is being floated thoroughly by this governor and any governor who is going to come. If you read the assembly discussions by Mr. H.V. Kamath on the present Article 155, he says that the entire concept is on provincial autonomy, that's state autonomy. That was what expected by the framers of the Constitution. And Ambedkar's reply on that. And one more speaker was saying like this, that was by Sri Rohini Kumar Chaudhary in the discussion on 155. After speaking about the oath, what I read, he says, here a man who does not know anything of that province, who does not understand the language of the province, can be nominated, and that man will be expected to serve that province much better than the man who can be chosen by the people of the province. Are you going to accept that? a man who may be nominated may belong to any part of India, South or North or Punjab. He may come from any common corner of India, and he is supposed to swear. I dare say he will have to forswear that he will act in the best interest of the people. So the very nomination by the president from a person who is from any other state on the advice of the union cabinet, and that governor comes here, he doesn't understand the language, he doesn't understand the sentiment of the people, and he can act whatever way he pleases. That is the situation we are in. That is the dictatorship. If we allow this to happen, in the future, slowly the legislative assemblies of the state will be totally disintegrated. And there will be one government. Already they have started talking about one India, one election, one India, one education. Everything is one. So slowly a stage will come, if this is allowed and people are not educated and they are not agitating towards this. What will happen is a day will come that no state legislative assembly will be there. State will be integrated and India will be made as one, completely compromising the federalism. So this is the right time that this discussion should go on, is to be taken to the streets as suggested by Mr. Gajendra Babu. This discussion has to go everywhere, that governors' rights either to be defined very clearly or to dispense with the governor, post of governor. That's my view of the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful and insightful speech on the subject.
And one more thing. Justice Hariparanthaman was talking, mentioning about the word as soon as possible. The word as soon as possible needs no interpretation. Because I'm more practicing on the criminal side. There is a word called soon before death in the case of dowry debts. Supreme Court in about 50-60 cases have defined what is soon before death. Ultimately, the Supreme Court comes interpreting these words as that between the act and the consequence, there should be a live link, or it should be imminent, or there should be a proximity between these two things. So when the word as soon as possible is interpreted, it should be interpreted in a manner that there should be a live link from the date of referring to the governor and he is acting on that. There should be a complete proximity between these two, because no particular time period is given. He cannot sleep over the bills. Similar provision was there in 10th schedule, that the speaker, how quick you have to act. The constitution doesn't give you a time frame for the speaker to act upon the schedule 10 complaints. That is, in that matter, Supreme Court recently said that a time period of 3 months have to be read into the article, into 10th schedule. It says it commands the speaker to decide any complaint under 10th schedule within 3 months. Sooner or later, Supreme Court is also going to put such a interpretation on the as soon as possible. But it's a time that the governors and the union to understand what was given to them by people of India, that this constitution, what was expected from them is to be discharged by them. And this is the high time for them to realize that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful speech. So